Yeah, well, I hope you and your fucking kids starve, man, and I hope that Wes fucking dies in a car crash.
That was a sample from Isn't It Beautiful, the newest song from the band/artist McCafferty, more specifically the lead singer Nick Hartkop, the main subject of this video. McCafferty, one of my favourite bands, but this song, at least in my opinion, isn't that good. But to fully explain the lyrics and the meaning behind them, we're going to have to take a look at the messy history of McCafferty.
Here it comes!
McCafferty was started in 2011 by Nick Hartkop as an acoustic solo project. Nick released a fuck ton of EPs on the name McCafferty, like Moms Plus Dads, Japan, Forest Life, and a couple more, all before signing with the label Monkey Boy Records, and the release of their first full-length album, /LP 2013's Beach Boy. Beach Boy saw the transformation from solo project to band, with the addition of Chris Jokin, Wes Easterly, and Evan Graham, who played bass, drums, and lead guitar respectively. Remember those names, as they'll be very important later. After Beach Boy was the first of McCafferty's infamous breakups. After 3 years of practically constant releases, McCafferty went silent, coming back 2 years later to release 2 EPs in 2015. One The Lightning Hit and Happy Birthday Zed. The band then broke up again a year later, following the abandonment of their second full-length, dubbed by fans as Beach Boy 2. Nick went on to teach full-time in a special ed school, which he was doing before and during McCafferty's first run. McCafferty saw yet another reform in late 2016, with them signing to Take This to Heart Records, releasing yet another EP, Thanks Sorry Sure. For those counting at home, we're on 9. Thanks Sorry Sure did insanely well, at least for McCafferty. Usually a DIY indie punk band would never see one of their projects at 23 on the fucking charts, but McCafferty were definitely something special. Their second full-length Yarn was actually released following a signing with Triple Crown Records, along with a tour with another band, Moose Blood, which was cancelled halfway through. June 2018 saw the announcement of The Sum of All Fears, a compilation album containing songs from a couple of EPs that hadn't been released to streaming services like iTunes or Spotify. They released one more EP, Clementine, along with announcing the band's permanent breakup. McCafferty then reformed later that year, notably without the bassist Chris, who had instead been replaced by Nick's current wife, Emily. They then released their third and final full-length album, 2019's The House with No Doorbell. The band broke up and Nick released an emo rap song called Divva, I Murdered Nick Hartkop, which we don't talk about.
One lawsuit inside my car while I committed suicide.
I personally enjoy a lot of emo rap, but this wasn't good, which brings us to today. Earlier this month, McCafferty released 2 demos on the EP. 2 demos never released back in 2017, so please don't think I'm coming back. I promise you, I won't. And the main subject of this video, Isn't It Beautiful? For the foreseeable future, that's the end of McCafferty. Behind 3 studio albums, 2 splits, 1 compilation, and 11 total EPs, was a band who helped a lot of people, including me, get through a lot. And that's the briefest history of McCafferty I could give. If this is your first encounter with the band, you're probably thinking, this is just an average band, and on the surface it really seems that way. But one simple Google search of the name Nick Hartkop tells a different story.
I wanted to address all of the things that a lot of bands are tagging me in, saying that I have a bad past and I've done a lot of things that have hurt people, and
there are videos going over the situation a lot better than I could, notably Nate the Mate's McCafferty, the Rise and Fall series, which I'll put in the description. Essentially, a pretty long Google Doc was released detailing the fucking heinous acts Nick had carried out. I'm just going to echo the same content warning on the document, which is domestic abuse, animal abuse, sexual harassment, emotional harassment, ableism, rape, queerphobia, violence, eating disorders, and cheating. Please don't harass anyone involved. Wes, Evan, and Chris seem like great people. And to be fair, if you could even find a way to contact Nick, I'd really appreciate you letting me know. I'm going to skim over a lot of the document, but it will be linked in the description along with the Rise and Fall series. Nick Hartkop is a manipulative abuser, the first documented case being, I believe, from when Nick was 15. Essentially, Nick became friends with this girl who was working in a nearby shop. He had a girlfriend at the time who would sometimes pop in with him. Nick and the girl, Sarah, started talking every now and again, and they started talking on Facebook, with Nick telling Sarah how his current relationship wasn't working out. He would then continuously flirt with Sarah, she thought nothing of it, and started hanging out with Nick and his friends, until Nick started acting strange, a reoccurring theme of the allegations. He would start trying to, quote, fool around with Sarah, and then, for no reason, start calling her a slut. He would drive her places, then just leave her stranded in the middle of nowhere, and basically just start harassing her. After an attempt by her to put distance between the two of them, Nick showed up to her house, played a song on his guitar, and left. Sarah found out around the same time Nick played the exact same song for Lindsay to ask her out. Lindsay would go on to be Nick's first wife. Sarah then attempted to distance herself from Nick for the second time, only for Nick to carry on coming to the shop to either stare or talk to her with Lindsay right there next to him. One day, out of nowhere, Sarah started getting a lot of texts from close friends and texts from complete strangers, informing her that Nick had started saying that she was HIV positive. A complete lie. Again, Nick was 15 and would go on to do a lot more and a lot worse. During the lead up to his and Lindsay's divorce, they got into a fight where Nick threatened the life of her and her dogs. He also broke and damaged Lindsay's property, then denied it. Not to mention the copious amounts of physical and emotional abuse Lindsay had suffered through during their relationship. Nick made a lot of edgy jokes, which would be fine, but replying to an Instagram story of your friend's girlfriend sleeping with isn't funny, and a lot of the stuff Nick has said and done could be seen as quite malicious and even a threat. He also supposedly held band's money over Evan's head, who was a full-time student at the time, with Nick saying things like good luck feeding your family and a lot more. As much as I could go on about the terrible shit Nick has done, other people have already done a pretty good job. I'll leave the document in the description, but with a brief explanation of what Nick has done, I can finally move on to the actual song.
And we were all at Matt's house in the basement, hanging out and getting drunk. We took the...
Is this like an apology video in the form of a song? Isn't it beautiful personally confuses me. It feels sincere sometimes and manipulative others. Nick said he's leaving McCafferty behind, but then goes on to sell Isn't It Beautiful on Bandcamp and iTunes. The song is pretty long, being just under 5 minutes, so I'll skip over some parts as well because of copyright reasons, but I really want to ask you to go and listen to the song after this video so you can make up your own mind. Now, I don't know if I like this song or not. The low production value acoustic sound reminds me a lot of the Clementine EP, with songs from that sounding like Nick just recorded them on his phone, which, to be fair, he probably did. The song also sounds pretty all over the place, which, I mean, pretty understandable. Seems like he's trying to be insincere, but it really does feel forced as well. The song is a YouTube apology video, so I'll be treating it as such. I don't know what to tell you, man. Those jokes are 3 years old and I didn't know anyone was uncomfortable. Yeah, well, I hope you and your fucking kids starve, man, and I hope that West fucking dies in a car crash. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. In parts of the song, Nick suddenly just starts shouting, then goes back to normal.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Those jokes were 3 years old and I didn't know anyone was uncomfortable. Yeah, well, I hope you and your fucking kids starve, man, and I hope that West fucking dies in a car crash. She said that I cannot identify with a band unless I know everything about their lead singer. What does he look like? What are his motives? She said that he hates her, said that he...
I think this is Nick saying he deserves privacy, which I'm not disagreeing with. Privacy is an important thing. I mean, I literally don't even show my face, but you have to wonder about double standards, like the example of Nick saying Sarah had HIV. It wasn't true, but if it was, it's telling a load of people that would be a massive breach of privacy. Or an example I didn't go over, where in the McCafferty song, it's a song about an abortion Lindsay had when she was 18. An abortion she only told Nick about and wished to keep private, which is a massive breach of privacy. A lot of this song feels like Nick is trying to take accountability but can't bring himself to do so, instead of opting to blame it on other factors. Even if he says he isn't. I found out recently that I have BPD, and that doesn't excuse my actions, but it's quite the opposite. But Allery says, my bipolar makes me feel foggy and I am developmentally delayed. And while I don't doubt that, it feels as if he's using it for sympathy. A later line comes off as an attempt to gild the listener even, with the line, I could talk about the suicide attempts I've had since everything went up, and the 4 weeks I spent hospitalized, but you would tell me that's not enough. He then carries on with, so what exactly is enough? How much hate does it take to fix an abuser's mental state? Which, while a fair point, feels like an attempt to victimize himself, saying that even if he did abuse people, he doesn't deserve hate for it, as it just worsens the state he's in. He also essentially says, don't hate me because I'm a person too, when he says, am I complicated spirit, am I complicated soul, I am mentally unwell, but like you I have a soul. There's also a part of the song that quite confused me. And I'm not the person they say I am, but those parts of me exist. They're toxic, they're evil, and I'm disgusted just like him. He doesn't clarify what parts exist and don't. Is he saying some of the things in the document are lies, and if so, what parts? Now, while I'm nowhere near close to analysing the entire song, a lot of the song is either brutally honest and in your face, or hard to decipher. But I'll leave you with the lines, and sometimes I lash out when I hit, like a child who was taught not to hit. But I know I'm better than that, so I've been in rehabilitation therapy. I really hope the last part is true. McCafferty still have a lot of fans, including me, and I'm sure what we all want is to see Nick get help. People who knew him said Nick looks at everything to do with McCafferty, and if that's still the case and you're watching this, Nick, I think what you've done is irredeemable, but thanks so much for the music. McCafferty started the same as it ended, a man on his own with an acoustic guitar and a story to tell. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I know it's annoying and you probably hear it all the time, but if you enjoy this video, it would honestly mean so much to me if you consider subscribing, as I'm hoping to hit 200 subscribers by the end of the year. Please follow me on Twitter and join my Discord if you want to. That being said, I'll see you next time.